ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुन् श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातम् सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं स्वावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shashwin. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Okay, we can read the verse, Shashwin. We are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, second chapter. Verse for the day is 17.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nishtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Na Hare Krishna. नायत्र कालो निमिषां परप्रभु कुतो नुदेवा जगतं य ईश्वरे नायत्र सत्त्वं नरजस्तमश्च न वै विकारो न महान् प्रधानम्. हरे कृष्ण. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shashwin, for the wonderful sloka recitation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Till Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Pranam Prabhu.
We can I think till Mataji join, we can just start the translation and purport. Anyone wants to read? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Which
Prabhu.
sloka?
This is it is chapter number, canto 2, chapter 2, and then verse 17 from Mataji. I think Mataji has told that she's going to join in 2 minutes, so we can just read the translation and wait for her.
2
to 17.
Okay. 2:17. Okay. May I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, go.
Okay. So we are reading the translation, right? Okay.
Yes.
In that transcendental state of Labdopashanti, there is no supremacy of devastating time, which controls even the celestial demigods who are empowered to rule over mundane creatures. And what to speak of the demigods themselves? Nor is there the mode of material goodness, nor passion, nor ignorance, nor even the false ego, nor the material causal ocean, nor the material nature. Devastating time which controls even the celestial demigods by its manifestation of past, present, and future does not act on the transcendental plane. The influence of time is exhibited by the symptoms of birth, death, old age, and disease. And these four principles of material condition are present everywhere in any part of the material cosmos up to the planet of Brahmaloka, where the duration of life of the inhabitants appears to us to be fabulous. Insurmountable time even brings about the death of Brahma. So what to speak of other demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Vayu, and Varuna? The astronomical influence directed by different demigods over mundane creatures is also conspicuous by its absence. In the material existence, the living entities are afraid of satanic influence, but for a devotee on the transcendental plane, there is no such fear at all. The living entities change their material bodies in different shapes and forms under the influence of different modes of material nature, but in the transcendental state, the devotee is gunatita, or above the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Thus, the false ego of I am the Lord of all I survey does not arise there. In the material world, the false ego of the living beings trying to lord it over the material nature is something like the moths falling into the blazing fire. The moth is captivated by the glaring beauty of the fire, and when he comes to enjoy it, the blazing fire consumes him. In the transcendental state, the living being is pure in his consciousness, and as such, he has no false ego to lord it over the material nature. Rather, his pure consciousness directs him to surrender unto the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Gita, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. In this, all this indicates that the transcendental state, there is neither material creation nor the causal ocean for material nature. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat pranam. Please accept humble obeisances. All Gurus to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, you're muted.
Yes, so sorry. Yes, thank you so much, Mataji, for reading the purport, and thank you, Prabhuji. We will get started. Thank you, Sashwin. I think you come 2 minutes early, and you're before everybody else. Very nice. Really appreciate what you're doing for us, Sashwin. Thank you so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorry. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshi Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jivamudire. Shrivata Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Hridayanta Stotya Bhadrani Vidunti Sukrit Satam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Hope I'm audible. Is it clear? Okay, great. All right, dear devotees. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, dear devotees, we will get started with today's session. So, it's definitely a very interesting verse. As you all understood that, I'm just so sorry. My windows are just stuck here. I'll open Srila Prabhupada's purport again. Please bear with me. I think, the windows frozen. Okay, let me take a look. Give me 1 minute, dear devotees. Okay. So we are discussing the second chapter, second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the chapter is titled as "The Lord in the Heart," or meditating on the Purusha in the heart. So, in response to Parikshit Maharaj's question about what is the highest goal of life and what is the means of attaining that goal, Sukadev Goswami mentioned that the highest goal is, of course, Krishna Prem, and the means of attaining is sadhana bhakti. But then he also says, not everyone is going to accept to this conclusion. Some of them are of the opinion that the highest goal in life is Sahija Mukti, or impersonal liberation. And the means of attaining this is actually Ashtanga Yoga. And in this context, we are discussing about Ashtanga Yoga. How Ashtanga Yoga is practiced. That is, we saw this 8 stages that Ashtanga Yogis do: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. And then of these practitioners, there are 2 kinds of practitioners who practice Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, so the first one are the ones who have the only goal. Okay, they're very, very clear about the goal, and that goal is liberation. And they are qualified to meditate on the Paramatma of the Lord. And they attain and meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord by performing the 8 steps that we talked about, and attain direct mukti, which is direct liberation. Now, there is also a second kind of yogi who has a primary goal as liberation. But secondarily, he wants to achieve liberation only after enjoying certain material pleasures in this material world. Say, for example, he wants to have heavenly enjoyments, or such people, they are not qualified to meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord. Why? Because their heart is filled with Rajas and Tamas. And they are recommended to meditate on what? The Virat Roop form of the Lord. So therefore, the Virat Roop, what they should meditate on, was discussed in the previous chapter. And now they, so they attain. How are they going to, I mean, after meditating on the Virat Roop, they follow through this gradual process called Krama Mukti, or gradual liberation. In the previous chapter, the object of meditation of the Virat Roop meditating yogi was described, which is Virat Roop meditation, right? And there was a description of Virat Purusha also. And the second chapter, he starts by indicating that this Virat Purusha, even though it is an imaginary, I mean, it is obviously, it is an imaginary form of the Lord, but nevertheless, this meditation, is it bona fide or not? Of course, it is bona fide. It is recommended for a particular class of people. In this context, we also saw about Brahmaji, how once he forgot, right? I mean, many of the times he forgets how to create the universe, or at least a few times he forgets. And one of the times he was recommended to meditate on the Virat Roop form of the Lord. And what did he do? He meditated on the Virat Roop and he remembered how to recreate this universe, and he recreated. Of course, here, meditation on Virat Roop was, for Brahmaji, was not recommended as a sadhana for achieving a spiritual goal, dear devotees. Okay, this was more of a, say for example, a professional recommendation for performing his duty of creation. Again, because Brahmaji is a very famous personality, the example of Brahmaji is given. Because if you give other examples, we may not be able to relate. So then he says that some people are of the opinion that what is liberation? Why not? Isn't it the great achievement? Isn't it great achievement to go to Swarga and enjoy there? This is one of the popular opinions that he says, right? Some people, they say, oh, what is this liberation? What are you talking about? Why not go to Swarga, have heavenly pleasures? Isn't that the very, very ultimate goal? It's a very popular opinion. And he says that actually this kind of goal is aspired only by people with meager intelligence. Meaning, rather than telling meager intelligence, we could say people with less evolved intelligence. The quality of their intelligence is not very evolved. What do these people take pleasure of? They take pleasure of temporary things in this material world. It's not a very good opinion. All of these things in this material world are just names only. Today they are there, tomorrow they may vanish. So these are all temporary things. And foolish people, they aspire for such temporary things. Therefore, a transcendentalist, what should his approach to be towards this material world and the things of this world? For that, purport is given to say, yeah, he accepts whatever is needed to practice his sadhana, to keep his body and soul together. If he needs something, he just only accepts that. And he practices his sadhana. And he doesn't over endeavor for anything else. Whatever is meant for him to accept, to bring the body and soul together, that is what he accepts. He says, when floor is there, what is the need for bed? When hands are there, what is the need for pillow? This kind of standard is a gold standard he's setting for a person to attain success in either path of yoga, isn't it? So first a karma kandi is spoken about. After that, these are all temporary pleasures, and whoever having less evolved intelligence, they go after it. And then we talk about a transcendentalist. What kind of person is this transcendentalist? How is this approach towards the material world? So just to keep his body and mind together to perform his sadhana, he accepts whatever is needed. But does he over endeavor? No, he doesn't over endeavor. And then, there is a purport then clarifying, to go on to saying about simple living and high thinking, right? This is what is simple living and high thinking. When there is a floor, what is the need for a bed? When there is a hand, what is the need for a pillow? If you are going to attain this standard, that's golden standard. He's setting this for a person who's ready to attain success, who is aspiring. Yes, I want to achieve success in the path of yoga. That means you have to follow this. In the path of yoga, these austerities are actually practiced as a sadhana. But when it comes to bhakti, these austerities, they're a natural byproduct of one's detachment. You understand the difference, dear devotee. It's a very important distinction that we need to understand here is, see, for a person who's a yogi, he practices this as a sadhana. That means day in and day out, he just makes up, even whether he likes it or not, it doesn't matter. He does it as a sadhana. But when it comes to bhakti, a person who is very advanced, for him, this is a natural byproduct because he is detached. Through the proper practice of bhakti, he is already detached. And these things come as a natural byproduct for him. You're able to understand. So then he also says, in this way, if a person is situated in this level of detachment, for that person, what happens? Lord naturally manifests within the heart for meditation in the form of Paramatma for this yogi. Or in the form of Supreme Bhagavan for a devotee, he manifests. and one should worship that form of the Lord. And what does that form of the Lord do? It destroys all the ignorance, which is the cause for this samsara. Then he mentions that by only an animal-like person, a foolish person, will reject such a path of either liberation or bhakti. Only foolish person will just disapprove that and accept the actions. If he's going to disapprove this process, then what is he going to accept? He's going to accept a life that leads to hellish existence in this material world. So in this way, he's concluding the path of karma is for less evolved people whose consciousness is actually very close to that of animals. This is the point or derivation we come across. I hope you're able to understand the flow so far. And now, then he says, yes, I have described to you about the Virat Rup meditating yogis, but there are some more evolved yogis who have more evolved consciousness also. Some yogis, you know, they meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord, which measures a few inches. He manifests with 4 arms. He's got this Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma in his heart. Shankha, Chakra, Padma and Gada. And in the heart of the yogi, this heart, the person's heart, whoever is meditating on the Paramatma, that is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Antaryami, for that person, the heart is fairly cleansed. In this context, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura is talking about 4 yogis. This is what I spoke about in last class. All right, dear devotees. So now we are going to continue from where I left off and then come to today's verse. So there is a continuity. See, now we are talking about 2 things. You may be confused here, and it's very natural. One thing is, we talked about a Virat Rup meditating yogi. When he attains perfection, he is going to meditate on the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. That's what we saw as number 1. I told you. But here we are talking about a yogi, a normal yogi who's meditating on the Paramatma, that is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu within the heart. And now Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura here clarifies about 4 types of yogis. Dear devotees, please listen carefully. The first type is one who does not meditate on the form of the Lord. He just meditates on the prana and the mind without using the form of the Lord. This kind of meditation, according to him, he mentions that it's a very inferior type of meditation, which is not recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam, where he meditates only on the prana and the mind without using the form of the Lord. This is not recommended, dear devotees. The second type of yogi is one who meditates on Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So he meditates initially. He meditates on the universal form of the Lord, and by the meditation of the universal form of the Lord, what happens? His heart is becoming purified, and then he meditates on the Garbhodakshaya form, who's lying on the Garbhodaka ocean. This kind of meditation will be described in which canto? 3rd canto. Okay. And the third kind of yogi is one who meditates on the Virat Purusha, and then his heart becomes purified. After that, he meditates on the Paramatma form of the Lord, which is who we are going to see now. Okay. And the 4th type of yogi is one who's already pure in his heart. He doesn't need meditation on the Virat form. He directly meditates on the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu within the heart. So in this way, there are 4 types of devotees. That 4 types of yogis we can call. This is kind of the classification that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura brings about. Hope you are clear. The first one is an inferior type of meditation. So we are going to totally not talk about it because it's not recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. The second type is where the yogi meditates on the Garbhodakshaya form, and before that he meditates on the universal form of the Lord. Then when his heart is sufficiently purified, then he meditates on Garbhodakshaya form. Okay. And the third kind of yogi is whom we are discussing now, where he meditates initially on the Virat Rup form of the Lord, and when his heart becomes purified, he worships on the Kshirodakshaya form that is in his heart. Okay. And the 4th type is one, his heart is already pure. So there is no need for him to worship on the Virat Rup form of the Lord. And therefore, he directly starts to meditate on Kshirodakshaya Vishnu within his heart. Hope you're all clear, dear devotees, with regards to these 4 forms the yogis meditate. Okay? All right. So then the several purports are there which talks about the form of the Lord. That is, the form of the Lord, he has a very pleasing, smiling face, eyes broad like the petals of the lotus. His cloth is yellowish in color, and again, he's wearing armbands with sparkling rubies and gems. He's wearing earrings and crowns made of dazzling gems. And this form, the lotus feet of the form, manifests in the lotus heart of the devotee. So that is the form that will be manifesting in the heart of a devotee. And in this form, he wears a Kaustuba jewel also. And there is a Srivasa mark on his chest, and he's wearing the Vanamala garland, which is very fresh. He's decorated with a very valuable belt, rings, anklets, and bracelets. And his attractive smiling face is surrounded by spotless, glossy, curly black hair. This is the description of our Lord, dear devotees. This form of the Lord is manifested in the heart of a yogi. Imagine. So, smiling face, these eyes is looking so broad like the petals of a blue lotus. Again, the comparisons are of this material world. But in reality, when the yogi is able to see such a form of the Lord, imagine how much bliss he's going to get. Yellow garments of the Lord. And what about his crown? They're all made of dazzling jewels. And this form is getting manifested now in the heart of a yogi. And further, it is described that looking at the face of the Lord, very easily the yogi can understand how the Lord is favorably disposed, how the Lord is merciful towards his devotees. Just looking, face is the index of the mind, right? By looking at Lord's face, what will a yogi come to an understanding? He will come to an understanding that yes, he's favorably disposed. He's really merciful. His boundless mercy is indicated by his sweet smiling glance, dear devotees, and the movement of his shining eyebrows. One should see this form of the Lord, which appears through contemplation until the mind remains in a concentrated state. So until the mind gets fixed on the generic form of the Lord, one should keep meditating on that Lord. This is again a stage of dharana, okay, where he's meditating on the generic form of the Lord. Then he will come to the stage of dhyana. Right? This is what is the Ashtanga Yogi that he would do. So one should, the purport says, one should firmly meditate with intelligence on each limb, that is dhyana. On each limb, he will start meditating, and starting from one after the other, starting from feet. That is where we start and go up to the smiling face of the Lord. After practicing concentrating on one limb, one should give that up and proceed to the next as the intelligence gradually becomes purified. This is again Ashtanga Yoga process, dear devotees. So what we are seeing here is that after attaining a fairly good success in meditating on the generic form of the Lord, what this yogi will start doing? He will start meditating on the individual limbs of the Lord. He will start meditating on the individual limbs, and as he is meditating on the individual limbs, the trace of his impurities in the heart, those all become purified. So he meditates, and then he starts off from the lotus feet, then he moves to the lotus face, and he meditates on that one by one, next limb. Progressively, more and more purification happens within the heart that is described. Okay. So this is what is the stage of this yogi who does Ashtanga Yoga. And after that, the 14th verse talks about, as long as the meditation on the Lord and the witness of all beings, superior to even Brahma, which has bhakti as an element, does not manifest, one should remember the gross universal form after performing necessary rites of Karma Yoga with proper attention. So here, Bhakti Yoga is mentioned. It is not pure devotion that is talking about. It means the meditation has bhakti as an element. As long as one is unable to meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord, or one is not inspired to meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord, one is not developing that kind of devotional disposition towards Paramatma form of the Lord. As long as one does not develop a devotional inclination to worship the Paramatma form of the Lord, what should he do? he is a yogi. He wants liberation, but he has these secondary material desires. He is unable to develop the kind of devotional disposition that is needed to meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord. What does that person have to do? This verse answers. This verse says, okay, he's not able to do that. So he should meditate on the gross universal form, the Virat Roop. He should meditate on this Virat Roop. And then that yogi, when he does this meditation with proper attention and performs the necessary rites of Karma Yoga, then he reaches the stage of Dharana, where he should Hare Krishna. Is it confusing? I'm sorry. So you're able to get the flow, right? So we spoke about 14th verse where it says Bhakti Yoga, but again, this Bhakti Yoga is not pure devotion, dear devotees. We are talking about the element of Bhakti that is needed for doing devotion. Please note this point. And then we are talking about this yogi. If he doesn't have inclination to worship on the Paramatma form of the Lord, if he is not able to develop that devotional disposition, then what he should do? He should just worship the Virat Root form of the Lord. Okay, by doing that, he is going to reach the stage of Dharana, where he has to give up his practice of Varnashrama duties. When he attains that Dharana stage, then at that stage, he has to give up Nishkama Karma Yoga also. Till that stage, he can do Nishkama Karma Yoga and perform Varnashrama duties. In the early stages like Yama, Niyama, Asana, all that stage, till the heart becomes sufficiently purified, it is mentioned that one actually continues to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. Because one of the main aspects of purification, for one's heart to be sufficiently purified, one should continue to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga till he reaches the stage of Dharana. Because through the practice of Varnashrama duties, the heart is also getting purified. And when the heart is sufficiently purified, then he becomes eligible to meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord. At that time, what he can do? He can give up this Varnashrama duties. We talked about the second type of yogi who has other desires or abhilashas or goals, isn't it? This person, apart from liberation, what this person is having some secondary material desires. I want to enjoy this pleasure, that pleasure, like that. So for that yogi, we gradually go through this progression. Hope you are able to understand this point, dear devotees. And then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is also saying, as long as one cannot meditate on the form of the Lord because of impure consciousness, one should just meditate on the universal form of the Lord. Okay, and so the Lord again, as I told you, this term Bhakti Yoga means Bhakti is used. Without Bhakti, none of the process is going to work. And here, this yogi, for him, the Bhakti is Gauna. And that is why it is Bhakti Mishra Yoga. We will talk about it a little later. But anyways, I'll come and let you, we'll talk about this term Bhakti Yoga, which is meaning without Bhakti, none of the process is going to work. And for this yogi, how is this Bhakti element? Is it Gauna or is it primary? When you ask that question, it is Gauna, meaning it is secondary, and the yoga is primary. That is why we call it as Bhakti Mishra Yoga and not Yoga Mishra Bhakti. In Yoga Mishra Bhakti, what is primary? Bhakti is primary. But here, even for this process to work, we should have that element of Bhakti. So the understanding from this verse is the Virat Root meditating yogi, he has to continue performing his karma. Through that, his heart is going to get purified. And eventually, when it attains the stage of a dharana, he is now eligible to give up his varnashrama duties, and he now starts meditating on the Paramatma form of the Lord. So we saw 4 things which we discussed in the first 2 chapters. One is the description of Virat Root. Then there is a description of Super Soul or Paramatma. Third is how the Super Soul meditating yogi, how he is going to attain liberation. The fourth is how the Virat Root meditating yogi attains liberation. Meaning, We have already talked about Virat Roop in the previous chapter, and now we are seeing about the description of the super soul, how the super soul is, what is the form of the Lord, and what is this yogi seeing in his heart. So this is how Paramatma meditating yogi. Next, what we are going to see is this is how, oh yeah, by doing this, he is going to attain liberation. So this process is called Sadhyo Mukti. Sadhyo Mukti means at once or immediate. And liberation is destruction of the subtle body. Because we know with death, what happens? Gross body is completely gone. And destruction of subtle body, when does that happen? The subtle body, it accompanies the soul from one body to another body. And it's not going to be destroyed till the process. When it's going to be destroyed, it is going to be destroyed only when transmigration stops. Only when our cycle of samsara is stopped, that is when the subtle body will be destroyed. So what does that mean? It means that destruction of subtle body will happen at the time of liberation. You're able to understand. Gatasun, sir. In Gita also we see this yogi, how he attains liberation is described, right? How this Paramatma meditating yogi, how he attains the liberation, and the destruction of subtle body happens when liberation is attained. This is the point. Now, this yogi, he is a renounced yogi, and this verse clarifies about a comfortable sitting posture. He's talking about asana. When he desires to give up his body, he does not attach to the mind to a particular time or place. Anytime he can give up this body, and he doesn't get attached to the things or places of this world. After conquering his life, it means pranayama. And by through pranayama, he is controlling his mind. And through the controlled mind, he controls everything. What is being described here is two things. One is he's in the stage of pratyahara, where sense control is practiced. And then it is describing about how he is controlling his, because of his breathing, he is able to control his mind. And Bhakti Mishra Yogi is the term that is being used in this verse. Again, we spoke about Bhakti Mishra Yogi, where Bhakti is secondary and Yoga or Ashtanga, whatever, Ashtanga Yoga is primary. This yogi, he desires to give up his body. He should not be, when he desires to give up his body, he's not going to be attached to times such as Uttarayan, Dakshinayan. No. I want to leave at the body at the time of Uttarayan, right? No. So the thing is, this kind of attachments he should not have, it seems. For this yogi, time and place are not cause of perfection. For this yogi, for him, the cause of perfection is the practice of yoga. So again, devotees don't care about this actually. They don't care about time and place. When they, whatever is pleasing to the Lord, that is what they care about. But here also it is mentioned for this particular yogi who is doing this Ashtanga Yoga, for him, he should not care or have attachments about time and place. That is the point we need to note, dear devotees. In this context, I would like to talk about a beautiful story in Sri Sampradaya, where, of course, in our Sampradaya also we have a lot of stories, how the devotees are not attached to a particular time or place to give up the body. We'll talk about one instance. So we all know that there was this very treacherous king by name King Kulothunga. So this King Kulothunga actually wanted to change people's faith. He wanted everybody in his regime to be converted to Shaivism. So he wanted to change, and he wanted to do this change for all the Vaishnavas. So then everybody suggested, king, you have to go to Ramanuja and change Ramanuja. If Ramanujacharya is changed, all the Vaishnavas, they will automatically change, because why? He's a powerful Acharya. So what you should do, dear king, you should just go and change Ramanujacharya. All you need to go and do is just change Ramanuja. If Ramanujacharya is changed, then all the Vaishnavas, they are under his control. So he will, he influences everyone. He sends his minister now. The king sends his minister to inform Ramanujacharya, and he is asking Ramanujacharya to come for a debate. And he's telling him, if you win the debate, this minister goes and tells Ramanuja. The plan is, if he loses the debate, he will force him to change into Shaivism. If he wins the debate, the king was thinking in his mind that he will kill him. This was the thought process. So Ramanujacharya, being the most powerful Acharya, they know about this king. And whoever was with him, Ramanujacharya's associates, they didn't want to send Ramanujacharya to the king, knowing king's mentality. So his disciple Kuresh and Ramanujacharya's guru Mahapurna, both of them decided, okay, we will go and meet the king. Mahapurna was quite old. His guru, so he was quite Ramanujacharya's guru. But still, because even though he was the guru of Ramanujacharya, he was considered as an invaluable jewel of Vaishnavism. So he decided, okay, Ramanujacharya should not go. And Kuresh, the disciple, he accepted the saffron clothes of Ramanujacharya and he gave him the white clothes so that Ramanujacharya could escape. And Ramanujacharya, with his other devotees, they all escaped to a place called Melkota in Tamil Nadu. And Kuresh accepted the saffron clothes, and along with Mahapurna, to cut the long story short, they defeated all the Shaivite scholars. And eventually, the king came to know both of them are not Ramanujacharya. So he ordered, oh, let Kuresh's eyes be plucked. Like that, he ordered his ministers. And so Kuresh and Mahapurna's eyes are plucked brutally, and they were sent back to Srirangam. So on the way to Srirangam, Mahapurna was unable to tolerate that and Kuresh's eyes is again, it was Kuresh's eyes which was plucked, and Mahapurna, as body was getting old, he could not tolerate because of his old age. He couldn't, he was not comfortable to travel. So just when they were going to reach Srirangam, they were just some distance away from Srirangam. And Mahapurna said, Kuresh, I cannot go anymore. I wish to give up my body. Kuresh said, look, tolerate a little bit more. We are just very, very close to Srirangam. And for Vaishnavites, Srirangam is supposed to be like the Dham, like Vrindavan Dham for us. Srirangam is the Dham for them. And he's telling, I wish to give up my body. Kuresh said, look, tolerate a little bit. We are there. We are very, very close to Srirangam. Right? In 10 minutes, 5 minutes, we are going to reach that place. So why don't you tolerate a little bit? When we reach Srirangam, your body can go there. You can, the holy place of Srirangam, you can give up your body. Mahapurna said, look, I can tolerate till I reach Srirangam, but I don't want to give up my body till reaching Srirangam. Why? Then ask the question, why? Because if I do, then people, if an Acharya does that, then people who are following me, they will think that Lord's guarantee, Sarvadharman Paritagya Mamekam Sharanam Raja, Aham Tua Sarvapapepyam Ukshishami Machujaha. You just surrender to me, I will take up all your sins and I will give you liberation and I will take you to my abode. He has promised that. They will think that promise is not sufficient. After that, I will have to leave my body in the holy place. Then that's how it will be complete, they will think. This is what Mahapurna said. This is why Mahapurna, even though he was suffering so much, he came all the way to Srirangam. He could have come all the way to Srirangam to give up his body. But everyone will think Krishna's promise is not sufficient. Apart from that, one has to also go to a holy place to give up his body. Like that they will think. So I will give up my body right here. I will give up my body in the lap of Kuresh. So this is the point, dear devotees. It's not necessary that we'd have to look for time and place. And here this Ashtanga Yogi shouldn't be looking for the time, place, or have attachment for time and place. And we know what we saw with the devotees. Of course, Holy Dham is always good. Holy Dham has its effect. But we are not giving the fact. At the same time, we cannot ascribe everything, right? One can live any way one wants to live. But at the end of one's life, let me give up my body in Vrindavan. If this is the mentality, it should not be like that. Inner mood of surrender, whatever progress one has made, there must be that inner mood of surrender. So the yogi is also not dependent. We see in the advanced stage of melanoma, when Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was going through this proposal of going to Vrindavan and giving up his body, he could have agreed to that proposal. So he said no. For me, Srila Prabhupada has come in this place, Gita Nagari, and he wanted to go to Gita Nagari and said, this is where Prabhupada has instituted this ISKCON. For me, this is Vrindavan. I will give up my body here only. And you won't believe, dear devotees, I have listened to lectures where people have commented about this to say that a lot of devotees from Varsana Dham, Ramesh Babaji, Madan Mohan Brajvasi, so many such wonderful Vaishnavas happened to land in Gita Nagari of all the places in the United States. If you know the topography of Pennsylvania, of all the places, Gita Nagari is such a small village. But incidentally, these people had come to Harrisburg, which is very close, like hardly half an hour from Gita Nagari, it seems. And our dear Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, they were all invited to come there because Maharaj invited them. See, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj, left in the association of great devotees of the Lord. He didn't say, oh, I want to go to Vrindavan and give up my body. Wherever devotees are is Vrindavan. Wherever Srila Prabhupada is instituted his institution, that is Vrindavan. That was the inner mood of surrender was there ultimately. Again, we should not minimize the glory of the Dham also, but I'm just trying to quote some incidences to kind of help you understand, where time and place doesn't matter for a devotee. So this yogi, he has attained this perfection on the strength of his practice. So therefore, it is not necessary for such a person to give up his body only in Uttarayan or in a particular place like that. That is being talked about. Those time and place are not the cause for perfection. Yoga alone is the cause for perfection. And that also cannot work without a tinge of bhakti. With this determination, he controls the senses by his mind. Then he merges the subtle senses of his mind. Like that, this verse goes about. So this is, again, when it comes to this verse, there are many things that are spoken, again, technically. So what is being spoken technically is that the mind is controlled by the intelligence. So he merges his mind to the intelligence and then says, oh, I don't need this material mind for enjoying this material world because I'm just interested in liberation only. And then he tells, oh, intelligence, the controller of the mind, please take my material mind back. I don't need my material mind. So he offers that material mind to his intelligence, it seems, this yogi. And then he merges his intelligence to the witnessing jiva. So then he offers the material intelligence to the jiva and says, oh, conditioned soul, I don't need this material intelligence anymore. I'm not interested in enjoying this material world. I'm only interested in attaining liberation. In this way, he offers his material intelligence to this conditioned soul. And then he merges this witnessing jiva into the pure jiva. And this pure jiva gets merged into the Brahman. Then he offers his conditioned soul to the pure soul. And he says, I no longer desire any kind of enjoyment. Please take all my conditionings away. In this way, he offers his conditioned soul, conditionings to the pure soul. And he gives up that conditioning also. So like this, he attains the stage of Jivan Mukta, that is the Brahma Bhuta stage. And then he withdraws from all actions. So here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura talks about how this yogi merges his mind into the intelligence and the intelligence into the jiva, and he merges the jiva, that is conditionings, into the pure jiva, and then this pure jiva gets merged into Brahman, like that. Now, having attained the destruction of these elements, he stops all the actions because there is nothing left for the liberated person to do. As he becomes liberated, he's liberated from his material desires and fulfilling of he's actually disconnected from everything, whatever this material world has to offer. And all of that he has surrendered back to the controller. This is what is the point. And he's just interested in liberation alone. That is being spoken in these verses. And then, so at that time, again, we have to note this point that the purport talks about. He says in this person, time which is the controller of even Devata, even the Devatas are controlled by time. Even they are afraid of dying. They don't have an eternal life. So the Devatas, obviously there is a comparison. They also have the fear because they will die anytime, because time is a factor, right? So they are afraid of that time. In this case, in the case of a liberated person, the time, the controller of the Devatas, it has no influence. That's why it's being contrasted here, dear devotees. The purport talks about the point that obviously even Devatas fear about time, but in the case of a liberated person, time, the controller of the Devatas, that doesn't have any influence. If time, the controller of the Devatas, if it can't, the thing is, it cannot influence. How can the Devatas influence this person? If time, which is controlling the Devatas, can't influence this yogi, how can Devatas influence this yogi? Who can control, who are responsible for controlling this material realm? How can Devatas have control over this yogi? No, the Devatas are not controlling them. In the case of this person who's a Jivan Mukta ready for liberation, there is no Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. He has become completely purified from the material modes. There is also no false ego in him. Obviously, he's not controlled by Devatas. Time do not influence him. Devatas don't influence him. This is the description of a Jivan Mukta which is being quoted at the purport. No one can disturb this person. When he has attained this Brahman as the Swarupa, time which is superior even to the Devatas has no influence. How then can the Devatas who control the material world influence him? This is the point which is being talked about. So in the state of Brahman or Brahmabhuta state, there are no gunas, means they are not tinged by the material modes. There is no false ego also. So this way, the description of a yogi is being talked about. And then there is also a contrast to say about how the Mayavadi's mentality is. Mayavadis, they don't respect the personal form of the Lord. But this yogi who merges into this Brahman, he has to respect the personal form of the Lord. Otherwise, he cannot go and merge into the Brahman. That is not at all possible. He has to have high regard on the personal form of the Lord. That is when he will not become a Mayavadi. Otherwise, if he is a Mayavadi, then he has no respect for the personal form of the Lord. That means he will not be able to attain liberation. Okay. I think this is sort of the understanding of the purport of the 18th verse we have for today. So with this, we can stop, dear devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrind ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our Acharyas and all glories to our Guru Maharaj. All glories to you all assembled devotees. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Thank you, Renuka Mataji.
All glories to Radhika Mataji.
Oh, thank you, Mataji, for giving
I
this
love you,
opportunity.
Radhika Mataji.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Are there any?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji.
No, I was just asking devotees if there are any questions or yeah.
Hare Krishna
Okay,
Mataji,
good.
Dandatranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji.
Mataji. Sorry, Mataji, I joined late. I thought it's 10 o'clock again. I'm sorry, I was late, but I will listen your remaining part of the session. Maybe 20 minutes I missed.
Okay.
Mataji, I pinged you. The same question comes back.
Okay.
But thanks for correcting me that Dhruva Maharaj followed Bhakti Yoga and not Ashtanga Yoga. That was, for years I was thinking like that. So thanks for correcting me on that point.
Yeah, when we read Acharya's commentaries, it will become evident, Mataji. Till then, it will not be clear. When we go through the Acharya's commentaries, where the mood is coming from, then we will be able to understand. You know, even I haven't gone deep into it, but from what I have been hearing, He is a pure devotee of the Lord. We have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listening to his pastime over and over and over. Even though there is a talk about Ashtanga Yoga, we need to understand why it's coming and what is the reason. So that we will go in deep as we understand the purpose.
Sure, Mataji. And on that note, Mataji, actually, I have a small, again, a clarification. So he said, or he chanted, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? And these Ashtanga yogis, they are also chanting Om. And Om mantra is also for Krishna, right? In chapter 8, 13th shloka of Bhagavad Gita, they are telling that we should not take Om as an impersonal form. Om is also part of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That is what Prabhupada also says. So even when they are telling Om, then it is almost like equivalent to Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? But as their intention is not personal, as their intention is not towards the personal form of the Lord, they are taken as separate yogis.
No, Mataji, no. So the thing is, with regards to, we talked about Brahman realization, how the person attained Brahman realization. This person who's attaining Brahman realization, we talked about Bhakti Yoga, meaning Gauna. Bhakti is Gauna here, Bhakti Mishra Yogis, whom we've spoken about. Meaning Bhakti is Gauna and Yoga is primary. And for this person also, he has to have high respect for personal form of the Lord. Otherwise, he is not going to be able to merge in Brahman. It's not possible. Anybody who has disrespect to the personal form of the Lord will not be able to merge in Brahman. It's just impossible. You cannot. Even though they have the goal of liberation, but when it comes to personal form of the Lord, they should still have bhakti. That is, they cannot have this disrespect towards the personal form of the Lord. Then they will not be eligible to go to Brahman. This point we should be very clear about. Okay. Even for Bhakti Mishra Yogi, what about for Yoga Mishra Bhakti? He takes yoga as secondary and Bhakti as primary. Of course, he will have respect towards the personal form of the Lord. Anybody who doesn't have respect for the personal form of the Lord, they are Mayavadis. They think they are going to attain liberation, but they cannot. This is the fundamental point that we need to understand. Bhakti element is needed. Gauna or primary, but Bhakti element is needed. Second point is they have to have respect on the personal form of the Lord. Without that, we cannot merge into the impersonalists cannot merge into Brahman. All right, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Okay, sure, Mataji. So, so Mayavadis, even though they are doing something, they won't be liberated at any standpoint.
No.
Right? Only Brahmavadis will be actually going to that Brahmaloka or that one, and then they will elevate. Okay, Mataji. I thought even Mayavadis will go there, and there is a two separate classification.
No,
okay.
no.
Thanks for correcting again.
Yes.
Wonderful, Mataji. Many new information. Like I am correcting myself. All my thought process, even though we are not bothered about impersonalist or yogis, we are concerned only on the Bhakti Yoga and Bhakti Yogis and devotees, how they perform. But still, all these clarification brings in more deeper when I read Bhagavad Gita, actually. Thank you so much.
Actually, the point is, it talks about glory of Bhakti only. Why it is talking about glory of Bhakti? Even little amount of Bhakti is needed to go and attain liberation also.
Very
Even
true.
though you have primary yoga, with the yoga alone, you cannot go and attain liberation. You need bhakti. And what is that form of bhakti? Where you have personal respect towards the personal, high respect towards the personal form of the Lord. This is the point. This is why it is important. You are having a comparison here. If a small amount of bhakti can give you so much, then what about you doing bhakti all the time?
Very true. Very true.
Comparison that Srimad Bhagavatam wants to tell us. Small amount of bhakti can give you so much. You can even get into Brahman realization. Then what about you doing bhakti all the time? The supreme goal, Krishna Prema, can be attained. This way we are comparing, Mataji. That's why we are doing this study of Ashtanga Yoga, to understand the glory of bhakti.
Okay, wonderful, Mataji. And the same other question, Mataji, like the Paramatma, they will see Mataji or they will see Garbhodaksa Vishnu, Mataji.
That's why I said there are 4 classifications of yogis. You can listen to my class where you will understand the classification and what classification we are talking about in this chapter And what we'd be talking about in the third canto, that I spoke about, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Okay, Mataji. I will listen, Mataji. Thank you
Yes.
so much for helping.
Yes.
I'll catch back if any doubts. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes, sure.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Please, thank you so much. Thank you for this nice explanation. Yes, all these yoga processes are there. Like some of them may be doing karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, ashtanga yoga, all these yogas. But if people realizes that all these, they're like stairs, you know, you climb one by the steps to go up. And if people just get a guru, it will be like an elevator. Guru will just take them straight to Krishna. And then if we start doing any of the processes of the 9 processes that we have, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Vandanam, Padasevam, etc., if we start doing that, then from our Shraddha, we will go up, right? We'll have Sadhu Sangha, we'll have Bhajana Kriya, and then in this way it goes up to Prema Bhava, so Prema Bhakti. So the only thing is here, if we realize that whatever we are doing will take at some point, even the yogi, the great yogi, who merges into the Brahman, they have to come back when the piety is exhausted. They have to come back to this material world, isn't it? Mataji?
So there is two versions to this, Mataji. Very, very contradicting topic, actually. Whoever goes to Brahman, will they come back? The answer, according to Srila Prabhupada, the thing is, as I said, there are 2 versions to this. Our Acharya's commentary says that they don't come back, Mataji. When they go to Brahman and they have the personal, if they have the respect towards the Lord, then they are not coming back. Of course, in Srila Prabhupada's purport, we see Aruya Krishnena Param Padam, that verse. Again, this talks about a falling of a yogi where he disrespects the personal form of the Lord. That point is clarified in Acharya's purport. Brahmavadis who go there respecting the personal form of the Lord, they don't come back, Mataji. But those who have disrespect, what it says is, even in Jivan Mukta stage, they can fall down if they don't have respect towards the Lord. This is the understanding I have, Mataji. I have big scholars from Sanskrit commentaries. They have spoken about it in various classes, which is what I heard. I'm not talking from my heart. It's coming from Acharya's purports. But there is an argument on this, and it's heavily debated topic. But at least from my point, I'm very clear with this understanding that whoever respects the personal form of the Lord, they do not fall. But when it comes to disrespecting the personal form of the Lord, they can even if they have attained Jivan Mukta stage, they could still come back to this material world.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, because we see like Dhritarashtra, he did Ashtanga Yoga and then he progressed. He didn't come back, right? But because he was instructed by Vidura, great Mahatma, so he got that already, that bead, that Premalita bead in his heart, so he could go. But as you said, if the impersonalists, they reach there and they don't respect the Lord, so then there is no way they'll come back. Yeah. Mataji, can you please give me the link where I can listen, because your experience is so nice. I want to listen more and more. Not only you in this group, all the speakers in this group, all the facilitators in this group. So if you can give me the link where I can get all the classes that are being posted, please.
Oh yeah, sure, Mataji. Mataji, can you ping me on WhatsApp? I'll send you the link.
Yes, please, I will do. Thank you once again for this very nice class with your deep understanding and philosophy, and maybe you listen so much and you read so much. That's why you can deliver so much. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. It's all your blessings, all your Vaishnava's blessings. That's why I try to pray before each class that whatever words of Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas directly come to me, and I be of some service to all of you. Thank you so much. I know, Prabhuji, it's getting late for you. If nobody has any questions, then we can end, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. No. I'm just Considering the time, I'm just trying to wind up. Yeah. My network is also not poor. I mean, not very good. I'm in the center, Nakuru center today, just with the devotees. So network is not very much good. So I was just requesting Induleka Mataji to wind up the session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you again, Mataji. Thank you for this nice explanation. I hope that devotees in this group today have something to take home. I have a lot. I have learned a lot, and as I always say, you go deep down and how you explain about the yogis. So as I also said just now, instead of going all these steps of yoga system, we should just find a bona fide spiritual master, hold his hand, as Srila Prabhupada said one, and his devotees asked Prabhupada, what will happen to us when you are not there? What are we going to be liberated? Prabhupada said, just hold my dhoti and I will take you there. That's what he said. So this is what we should do. We should kind of stick to each other and get together, learn together, grow together, and then for sure there will be a way out for us. So I will request everyone to please unmute and let's say Haribol to glorify Mataji, who has given such a nice class today. And let's pray that she comes every week and enlighten us as she always does. Hare Krishna. Let's unmute and chant the Hare Krishna for her.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatrutyasya kripasindhuvaeva Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रेट राधिका कस्तूरी माता जी की जय. हरे कृष्ण.
Assemble devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, dear devotees. See you all next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Bye,
Krishna.
Shashmi.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Ending the session.